Hey everybody, Sabi here, giving you a little update. Weekly candle close here on Bitcoin, Sunday night. So let's see where price action ended up getting us. So far, the weekly candle did close a slightly higher low after making a higher high. So you do have higher highs and higher lows. Happy to see that this did not close a weekly candle back under 108, because it's kind of the range that I was looking for to hold. After this being basically the reaccumulation range, and this being the show of strength, this is a backup phase. After this should start markup phase, but I don't think it happens like immediately. I think we chop around a little bit, but I could be wrong. This thing could just go up from here. But seeing this price action, this is not necessarily bearish just yet. This can be, in Elliott wave terms, a 5-wave impulse up, ABC pullback for wave 2, back down to the wave 4, and maybe a push up into a markup phase. But as you can see, it's barely holding that show of strength. It's barely holding it. So don't want to see it go any lower than this if this price action is going to turn around. I do think that we chop around here for a week or two, actually maybe longer, until I see something different. But I'm kind of expecting it to chop around, and we'll zoom into the daily to see what we see on the daily. So in the daily, we do have a swing high, and we'll see if this ends up being the swing low. But to confirm that is the swing low, zooming in here, I want to see these daily candles close higher than the previous swing high. That would let you know that a bottom is in of some sort, and then maybe come back and retest it. So the trade setup would be close a higher high on the daily, get a higher low on the daily, and then start pushing up. My current expectation is that price will make it up to 116 to maybe 117, the middle of the range, and maybe reject there again after taking this liquidity, and after that chop around, kind of go sideways before pushing up. So what I'm potentially seeing here is matching those legs. It's just standard ABC. You could see that as a wave 2 or a completion of a wave 4 coming back down to wave 4 of lesser degree in this area, and then you push up for a wave 5. The way I'm kind of looking at this, or the expectation is after making that type of move, that you're likely to see this leg repeat up to there. And after you take this liquidity right there, more consolidation, probably a drop and a reaccumulation here, drop, reaccumulation, similar to that, before pushing up for this. Then maybe repeat this, back testing the previous all-time high, and then start your markup campaign targeting 150, 160,000, depending on the exchange and depending on whether you measure it in log scale or linear scale. But that would currently be the expectation, seeing as the weekly candle is maintaining a higher low until it's not. So now that the weekly is still maintaining the higher low, you want to see a higher high here on the daily, then the higher low, back at previous support. Whenever that does come, there's the ultimate buy, and look to push up. Since you've been consolidating here in this range, if this is a reaccumulation, you have another show of strength and the backup phase. And that's where this would repeat and continue moving up from somewhere around 120, potentially. Could get a little deeper down to 117. And you could also see that as Elliott wave, wave 1, wave 2, and start pushing up for a wave 3. But just to reiterate, the great trade setup that I always find is a higher high, find the higher low at previous supports, and then push up again. First take profit is at the 1-to-1 for an ABC, and push up, break the highs. There's another take profit. The backup phase would be another entry long. As long as you're making a higher high, you get a higher low there and start pushing up. So watch your trend. The 4-hour has started a little 4-hour uptrend. Hopefully that 4-hour uptrend gets into the daily candle close higher high, and then you can buy a higher low, and then you can start to be in alignment for a nice markup phase. But if this leg is going to repeat similar to before, this may take a whole month of reaccumulation down here at the low. And it'll take, it'll look like it wants to break down and then just start moving up aggressively. So that would be the trade setup that I'd be looking for, is repeating that leg and then come back down to previous support to see if it pushes up again. And might as well get a target when we're at it. We'll just measure this impulse leg up to there. You have your ABC. We are in log scale. So the log scaling actually gets you up to 172 as a potential impulse up. So that could happen sometime early 2026 if this leg repeats similarly. Maybe it might take into February, mid-February. That's kind of what I would look for. So might be a good take profit area next year at the 172 range. I think we'll move over to Ethereum because I think this is going to be a great trade setup. As far as Elliott wave goes, it's looking very promising. This current little consolidation looks like a very small version of this playing out. You can see the ABC down, ABC up, and then the extended wave down that breaks the lows, ABC down, ABC up, and then the extended wave that breaks the lows. So it's mimicking the pattern. It's kind of fractal. The way that I've been measuring this with Elliott wave, as I mentioned in the last video, was wave 1, 2, that was wave 3, this is wave 4, coming back to wave 4 of lesser degree, and wave 5 to push up. I think the target was 6,000. That's a conservative target. Because what it actually kind of looks like to me is this is going to be truncated a bit, and it's going to be a wave 1 of an extended 5th wave. That's just the way it looks right now. It certainly doesn't have to play that way. But we'll take a trend-based fib extension measurement from the very low to the high, wave 1, 2, wave 3 got up to the 1.618, and then the Fibonacci retrace from the low of wave 2 to the high of wave 3. You can see you tag the 50% retrace perfectly. Now coming out of there, you're matching some legs pretty nicely, but I'd have to swap that over to log scale and show you what I mean. But for right now, this is a perfect wave 4 touch at the 50% retrace of wave 3 for Elliott wave, and the target would be 6,200. So if you do see a wave that goes straight up to 6,200, that's probably a great take profit area. Then this may be a distribution, and that'll be your up thrust after distribution. If you draw a range on this, something like that, and you would have a range break target, somewhere up there after you break the range. It'd get you up there. So that would be a perfect up thrust. But if the wave truncates the high and holds above the middle of this range, you might want to think of that as a wave 1 of an extended 5th wave, especially if it breaks liquidity, comes back down, and then breaks that liquidity again. It's probably going to go up quite a bit higher. And to show you what I mean, I'm going to do this in log scale now. You can see the log scale target for the 1.618 is almost 7,400. So that might be relevant in the future, but the wave coming out of here is doing just like I expected, to come all the way back down here to 3,600, and that was the trade setup. And now it's pushing up and having a reaction. So now the stop loss can be moved up to there, because you break below that, you're likely targeting those lows at 34.86. And if you break those lows, you're targeting down here at 33.70. So watch for the lows to be taken if you do break below that wick. Not to say it can't just break below the wick and then just continue right up, but the wave patterns that I'm seeing are suggesting higher here in log scale, and I'll show you what I mean. So similar to Bitcoin, you have your wave down, wave up, wave down. So down, down, down. ABC. Match those legs. They match to the 1 to 1 to 1272. So those look good to match to me. And what you've seen come off of here is this leg matches this leg really nicely. And the move down that I was suggesting in the last video matched that perfectly. Now, potentially we're repeating this leg up. So this may come and break the highs up to like 5,200, take that liquidity, and then consolidate here. Maybe back down to the middle of the range, and it holds the middle of the range before breaking out further. So if that continues and you're matching this leg, we're zooming out here, and this leg comes like that, you may do this little consolidation and then push up for that leg. So what would that end up looking like? Be this move into a break of the high, pull back, and then a push up into probably 7,500, maybe all the way up to 8,000. I think the 1-to-1 Fibonacci extension in log scale should equal that. Let's check. Yeah, 8,200. So if you see 8,200, that might be a take profit, and then you'll repeat this leg, and then push up for potential target eventually of 13,000. There it is. So you'd have a 1, 2, 3, wave 4 comes back to wave 4 of lesser degree, and then you repeat some kind of extended fifth wave up to there, which in log scale, which some don't like the log scale, would be a 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks something like that. So extended fifth wave target, you're kind of getting up there, but as long as the chart's making higher highs and higher lows, no reason to not expect that. If you take the range / consolidation that price has been in for the past few years, and we'll just take a trend line and measure from low to high, we'll take that as this breakout target, or from the breakout, and that gets you a target up to 15,000 as a potential. So this thing could keep running. I'd be cautious around the 12 to 13,000. There might be profit-taking areas, and watch for consolidation. And it certainly could reach that extended $15,000 target for Ethereum, which that would be crazy. I'd definitely sell. Let's just zoom in here and try that again. The Fibonacci extension of the 1-to-1. Say we're half done here. That actually gets you into the pocket. So whenever I do my measuring, the expectation is to arrive between the 1-to-1 to the 1272. Sometimes it goes slightly above the 1-to-1. Sometimes it can extend past the 1272, but that's really getting frothy. And if price does make it to the 1.618, then you've got yourself a 1, 2, that's wave 3. Expect a 50% retrace from the 1.618. Your buy setup would be around 10,000. And then you'd expect, I guess, 100,000, but I doubt it. One step at a time. So one step at a time for me says expect the highs to be broken, and then expect consolidation for another push up, and then keep trading the trend as it's going up. All right, let's move over to XRP. I don't think XRP is as explosive as maybe Ethereum might be for the time being. I think Ethereum has a very nice wave pattern that is suggesting up. As long as Bitcoin holds its low, then we can expect it to perform pretty well. XRP is still under its resistance. This is likely to be met with selling initially. You've had this as support, 3 touches of support, break the support, come back up. You should see supply come in at previous supports. should turn as resistance initially, and then maybe pull back and then have its day in the sun for a little bit. The wave pattern that I'm matching here, let me kind of draw it out for you. This ends up being an ABC on closing basis, of course. And I think you're going to see this leg repeat somehow off of here up to around 270, 275 maybe. Whatever this ends up measuring, you should see the same thing coming out of there. And then let's get this leg to repeat. Pull back down here, right at previous support. So if you do see a 190 read that looks like that, maybe 195, maybe just barely cracking the $2, somewhere around there. Out of there, you should see a very nice push up to break out, and then consolidate, back test, and then another push up to break all-time highs, and then should see a pullback from there. I don't know why I have $5.18 marked on my chart. Let's check if that happens to be an extension here from previous support. Not a break. You'd probably want to target 439, 440, or something like that. Look for this to be an A. B is going to come down there on a closing basis, and this will be wave C. So that's what I would look for, and then repeat this leg down, back down to the middle of this range again, before breaking out and repeating that leg later on. And how would I be wrong in expecting this to reject here and more down? Just all it has to do is break out, close a higher high. You buy the higher low at previous support and expect to push up into liquidity. Keep it pretty simple. Watch your trend. Currently the XRP is making lower lows and lower highs until it makes a higher high close. Then you buy the higher low and expect an uptrend to resume. All right, to wrap up the video, I wanted to go over Bitcoin versus gold. I saw many people pulling this chart out, whether or not this is a failed head and shoulders, or if it is a head and shoulders reversal pattern, what's going to happen. Honestly, you just want to look for liquidity. And currently you took this lower liquidity, still have some down a little further below. But we are in log scale, but let's check some measurements. I was kind of doing some work on this and noticed something very interesting about where price ended up. And log scale made the 1.618 extension. This came back down for like a wave 4 of lesser degree back to there, and pushed up for a truncated fifth wave, which should have went to like 63 for a real fifth wave, but price came back down. So this is a potential. This is wave 3, and this is working on a wave 4 back to wave 4 of lesser degree here, and about to push up. So it's dancing around the 1.618 Fibonacci extension here. You can count 5 waves here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into like a wave 1, pull down, and then wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that can be wave 3 complete, and you're coming back down for wave 4. I think the RSI kind of suggests that, but let's assume that is. We will take the retracement from your wave 2 potential up to the top of potentially wave 3, and see how price is reacting here. You have a push down to the 382, a reaction, and now it's coming down and breaking those lows. Eventually, I think this makes the 0.5. It just happens so often that if it comes to the 382, it comes to the 0.5. It may revisit these lows at 22 ounces of gold per Bitcoin. And that would be a very nice wave 4, and then you push up for a wave 5. How does it make it there? Well, that's to be determined. Based on what I'm seeing and the way this looks coming down, and the Ethereum chart, and the oversoldness of some of the cryptos, I think this is going to bounce here, and you're going to end up having ABC here back up to the highs, which would lead Bitcoin to push up kind of substantially. After you get that push up, if it does indeed come, I would expect the pattern to be looking like this, coming back down and repeating that leg there for a push down to the 0.5. So that would mean a kind of a crash in Bitcoin and gold gets to press up some more. After that, the Elliott wave pattern would suggest you're going to run up to the 618 or the 1-to-1 Fibonacci extension of this. So let's just measure what the potential targets would be. 618 would equal 57, and the 1-to-1 would get you to 100 ounces of gold per Bitcoin. So those would be two targets that I would be looking at, depending on how long this takes. If this does extend out, into 2027, 2028, I'd be targeting the 100 ounces of gold per Bitcoin. If it's going to just blow off top after hitting this low, and that's all you get, 57 would be the target. And that would be a nice consolidation / distribution happening here. And this would be your distribution range. Your up thrust would be roughly that high, get you to 59. That's within tolerance. So if you do see price, the Bitcoin to gold ratio get up to 59 and reject back down into this range, that's a top. You're likely selling off lower. But for right now, expect consolidation, I think, over the next 3-4 months. But I'm expecting this to push up to revisit the highs before pushing down again. We will see how this plays out, but watch, since it hit the 382 Fibonacci retrace, I'm expecting the 0.5 eventually. All right, I think I'll stop the video there, getting kind of extended at 23 minutes, 22 minutes. So keep them stops tight. Have a good night. If you want to follow along on Slice, I will leave a link in the description or in the messages down below. Follow the link, sign up, and follow the trades in real time when I do place the trades. So, have a good night. Keep them stops tight.